welcome to our virtual yoga class. My name is Vanessa. Took a little break, I had a little injury in my lower back, but I'm happy to be teaching our yoga class. So let's get settled, and we'll settle by laying on our back. So start to transition, lengthening out your legs and dropping your head onto the mat. Noticing that as you're transitioning, it's an opportunity to start letting go of tension, of goodness. This past year, a week ago, a day ago, inhaling, exhaling, you're arriving to this moment, increasing your body awareness. And we start to do that through the breath. So as you're laying here, inhale here, exhale, sigh it out. Inhale again, your choice, exhale, sigh it out, or invite just a deep intentional breath. You're noticing where your breath is today at this moment. No judgment of the breath. Noticing belly, chest expand. And as you're focusing on the breath, you're also expanding your awareness to the rest of your body. Notice neck, shoulders, back, hips. Down the length of your legs. Notice where you want to place attention today in our practice. Is it the neck? Is it the hips? Where are you going to place your attention for the rest of the class? Notice your body is communicating to you. Let's gather about 3 intentional breaths here. Inhaling, exhaling. It's always optional to sigh it out. I like to emphasize sighing out so that we have a much more visceral experience with our breath and that we see that immediate response in our bodies when we exhale, sigh out. We're working on releasing a physical tension, and not just physical tension, mental and emotional tension as well. And then after 3 intentional breaths, we'll lift our arms up overhead, point your toes, full body stretch. You're interlacing your fingers. You're lifting your abdomen up towards the ceiling, releasing and opening around the lower back. You can separate your shoulder blades, flex your feet, point your toes. Notice what's there for you in this full body stretch. Gathering a deep inhale, deep exhale. And then release your hands, your arms, bend your right knee, lengthen that right leg up towards the ceiling, interlace your fingers right behind that right thigh and hold. Breathing into your hamstring here, you can lengthen your leg and point your toes downwards towards you to activate a stretch around the calf muscle. We'll stay here a few cycles of breath, so allow yourself to deepen into the stretch, breathing into what's opening for you. You're lengthening your leg, applying some gentle pressure with your hands. You can always bring your thigh closer towards your belly or chest. This can be subtle. And then you can have a bend to your knee if that supports you. You're gonna rotate your ankle here. We tend to not place a lot of attention to our feet. So notice your ankle, perhaps spread your toes, rotate your ankle. One more breath, inhale here, you can exhale, always optional, sigh it out. And now bend that right knee, grip that right knee with your hands. We're gonna extend the stretch to lower back, mid back, upper back, and then also flex our core, forehead towards our knee. We drop our head back. About 3 more times, lifting our forehead up towards our knee and then dropping our head back. We're gonna make sure you're activating your core, that you're not straining around the neck. One or two more rounds here, rounding your spine, forehead towards your knee, and then release your head back. Let's take an intentional breath, inhale and exhale. Bend your left knee, lengthen that left leg up towards the ceiling, interlace your fingers behind that left thigh and hold. Noticing a stretch in hamstrings or hips. You can extend a stretch into the calf muscle by pointing your toes downwards towards you. You can have a generous bend to your knee. Let's simultaneously see if you can try to lengthen your legs. You're lengthening the leg, but you can allow a bend to that knee. It's a little bit of a paradox there. Inhale and exhale. You can always bring your thigh closer towards your belly or chest. It can be a very subtle shift. Press your hands gently against your left thigh. And then take a few moments here focusing on your ankle, your toes, spreading your toes, rotating your ankle. And then bend that left knee around your spine, forehead towards that knee, drop your head back. You're flexing, you're activating that core. Try not to crunch up around the neck too much. Shoulders are drawn down as you lift. You're rounding the spine, inviting that stretch in the lower back, mid back, upper back. About 1 or 2 more rounds, lifting forehead up towards your knee. And then once you complete, bend knees, both feet onto the floor. We're gonna come into a twist. So bring your arms up to a T. You're going to drop your knees towards the right and then turn your head towards the left. In order to invite a full expression of that twist, it's important that your knees and your head face opposite directions. Now, as you're here, you're scanning your body, very purposely softening, melting towards the floor. Notice that you're laying on the ground, yet we subconsciously, unconsciously still hold our bodies up unnecessarily. Scan your body, see where you can soften a little bit more. This is a practice, not something you're just naturally good at. We're cultivating that ability to check in to see what's going on in our bodies and see how can we get the full benefit of this pose. Now it's more difficult to take deep, long breaths in a twist. For obvious reasons, you're in a twist. Just find that comfortable breath. 1 or 2 more breaths on this side. And then bring your knees back to center. This time knees drop towards the left, head turns towards the right. Remember, head and knees face opposite directions. Scan neck down the spine to your hips and knees, perhaps imagining those knees melt further towards the floor. Soften that extra 10%. One or two more breaths here. And then bring your knees back to center, head back to center. You can grab or take your hands towards your knees, feet float off the floor. You can rock a little bit to the left, to the right, just give you a little massage there on the tailbone, lower back. And then after a few moments there, start to make your way up to your seat. Come and shift your position into a cross-legged seated position. As you transition here, you're noticing your sit bones on the floor, you're lengthening the spine, shoulders are relaxed. At all moments in your practice, you want to bring that extra intention. Make that little extra effort and bring more awareness. You're active in our bodies. As you come into your seat, one intentional breath. Let's inhale here, exhale, sigh it out. And then inhale, lift our arms up overhead, palms up towards the ceiling, lengthen your elbows. Opening throughout the arms and the side body, you're gonna stretch towards the left. Chin is soft, neck is soft. Breathe into your side body here, your right side body, and then come back to center, opposite side. Inhale here, exhale. Back to center, round your spine, chin towards chest, palms towards the front. You're separating your shoulder blades here. And tilt forward, we're shifting into our tabletop, one of our classic transition poses. Our hands are right beneath our shoulders, knees are hips width distance apart. We're gonna inhale up into a cow pose, exhale, round your spine into a cat pose. You can move at your own pace with your breath, inhaling up and down. If you prefer to explore your cat pose and remain there an extra cycle of breath, 2 or 3, same thing with cat, go ahead and do so. What I want to emphasize here is that these are very relatively simple poses. The only thing I can imagine being difficult in a cat and cow pose is perhaps the knees. Sometimes the knees are sensitive. You can always place a blanket right underneath your knees, some type of very shallow cushion like a blanket. But other than that, the cat and cow is relatively simple. You want to make sure you're taking advantage of that stretch and opening around the tailbone, the chest, throughout the spine. Throughout our back are common little problem areas. Right now, you can take care of that. But invite that intention. Lifting your chin, rounding the spine, tucking the chin towards the chest. Where we're at, about one more breath, one more cat and cow pose. You'll start to shift into your neutral tabletop. Press that right hand into the mat, lift your left arm up. And release. Opposite side, lift your right arm up. Inhaling and exhaling, release your hand, lift up, downward facing dog. Breathe into the backs of your legs, lengthen the spine, welcome this inversion. Inhale here. Exhale. Plank pose from your downward facing dog. Hold that plank pose. Core is activated, legs are long. Knees onto the mat. Let's release our belly down towards the floor. Here, we're going to lengthen our arms out behind us. Just shoot those fingertips behind you. Engage your glutes. Keep the tops of your feet onto the mat. Inhale up. Exhale, release. Be careful, move slowly. We're being careful with our lower back. Be very purposeful in bringing your shoulder blades closer together. We're activating a lot here. Chest, shoulders, throughout the lower back, glutes. Tops of the feet remain on the floor. A few more times. Inhaling up. Exhaling, releasing with your breath. One more round, inhaling up. Exhale, release. Now take your hands to frame your chest. Keep your elbows close to your side body. Lengthen your elbows, Activate your glutes, upward facing dog. And then curl your toes, downward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths here, inhaling, exhaling, you're lifting your hips up towards the ceiling. Grounding through your palms, bringing your chest closer towards your thighs, find that lift in the hips. Inhale, exhale, side out. 3 more breaths in our down dog. Hold that down dog. And then once you've done those 3 breaths, plank pose. Drop your knees onto the floor. Drop all the way down. This time we're gonna lift our feet. You can either point your fingers behind you or you can interlace your fingers. Your choice. Feet can float off the floor. Inhale up. Exhale. Release. Move with your breath. Be careful with your lower back. Bring your shoulder blades closer together. Two more rounds, inhaling up, exhaling, releasing. One more round. And as you finish that last round, hands frame your chest. You release your hands, elbows close to your torso, your side body. Lengthen your elbows, tops of the feet are on the floor. Upward facing dog, curl your toes, downward facing dog. Now we'll lift our left leg, bend our knees, stack our hips. Deep belly breath, bring that chest closer towards your right thigh. And then release, opposite side, lift your right leg, bend your right knee, stack your hips towards the right and hold. Inhale. Exhale. Release your foot back down towards the floor. Let's take an inhale, exhale, side out. Now take your left knee towards your left elbow. Hover, core workout, you're pressing through your palms. Body is activated, strength. Now lift that leg, bend that knee, stack your hips. Release your foot back down towards the floor. Generous inhale and exhale. Mentally prepare yourself. Now right knee towards that right elbow. Hover, core strength, you're pressing through your palm. Your body is activated, strength. Now lift that right leg, bend that knee, stack your hips. Release that foot back down towards the mat, downward facing dog. We inhale here, exhale, side out. Take your gaze forward, forward fold. Soften neck and head. Hands can reach the mat, hands can cup your elbows, your choice. Inhale. Exhale, release your hands as inhale, sweep our arms up overhead. Right hand meets the left hand meets the right hand. This is a practice of presence, arriving to the mat, releasing concerns of yesterday, releasing concerns of tomorrow, or arriving to this moment. Inhale here, exhale, side out. The 6th practice, you're not naturally good at it, we're cultivating this practice. Inhale, noticing both palms touch, taking a generous breath. And then release your hands. We'll start to shift into a warrior 2. Let's take our left foot forward, take our right leg back. All right, so our left knee, 90-degree angle, right foot, a bit of a diagonal, so your hips are opening here. You want to stack that left arm right on top of that left thigh so they're parallel with each other. And then bring your right arm out. Soften your shoulders, trying to crunch up your shoulders close to your ears, draw them down. Find a point to focus on across the room. So your gaze is right over that middle finger, pointer finger, just the tops of your fingers there. Welcome a deep grounded breath into your heels. Engage your glutes. Core is active. Chest is open. Inhale. Exhale, release that right hand right behind that right thigh. Lift your left arm up. Opening your side body, strengthening that lower back. Back to center, warrior two. Inhale, exhale, take that right arm over. Imagine you're holding a ball between your hands. Keep that left knee bent. And then drop, spin down, both hands, frame that left foot. You're still grounding through your right heel, left heel, soften neck and head. Breathe into your left hamstring, left glute, left hip. Inhale, exhale. Pivot that right foot. So now you're in a low lunge. Ground that right arm right beneath your shoulder. Lift your left arm up. Inhale. And exhale, release your left hand, step back into your downward facing dog. However, if you want to take a vinyasa, go for it. Meaning if you want to take that plank pose and an upward facing dog, take those poses. Otherwise, we meet in our downward facing dog. Inhale, exhale, take your gaze right between your hands, walk or jump up to that forward fold. Let's sweep our arms up overhead, grounding through our heels. And then practicing, noticing right palm up, touch the left palm, touch the right palm, arriving to this moment. Inhale here, exhale, side out, release your hands. Warrior two, right foot forward, left foot steps back, left foot's in a bit of that diagonal, 90-degree bend to that knee. Take your gaze right over those fingertips, wrist, shoulders are drawn down, glutes are active, quads as well, core is active, chest is open. This is a pose of strength and stability. Breathe into that stability through your heels. Noticing a line of energy from one fingertip to the opposite fingertip. Deep belly breath. Release that left hand right behind that left thigh. Bring that right arm up. Inhale. Exhale. Warrior two. Now take that left arm over. Imagining you're holding that giant beach ball right between your hands. Core is active. You're sinking into that right hip. And then spin down. Both hands frame that right foot. Soften neck and head. Breathe into your right hip, right glute, right hamstring. Neck is soft. And then pivot that left foot. So now you're in a low lunge. Ground that left palm onto the mat. Lift your right arm up towards the ceiling. Optionally, you can take that left knee onto the mat. Hold. And then release that right hand. Take your vinyasa or go straight to your downward facing dog. Generous breath. Inhale here. Exhale. And then we'll release our knees onto the mat. And then step down into a child's pose. Taking your arms out. Knees either close together or towards the edges of your mat. Inhale. Exhale. Taking a moment to ground here. Remember in the beginning of the class, we listened to our bodies. Then we decided we'd focus in one area. Go back to that body, that area in the body. Breathe into that area. And invite that awareness for the rest of class. Let's take an inhale here. And exhale, sigh it out. From your child's pose, you're gonna lift back up into a downward facing dog. Lift our left leg, bend our left knee, stack our hips. And then left knee towards that left elbow, hover. And then downward facing dog. Opposite side, lift your right leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Right knee towards that right elbow, hover. Step back, downward facing dog, generous breath. Take your gaze right between your hands, walk or jump up to that forward fold. We're going to roll up slowly to standing, head comes up last, arms dangle. Practice the ability to release your body, to soften and to slow down. This time, mountain pose. Palms framing your hips, palms towards the front, fingertips spread wide. Your eyes can be closed or open. If your eyes are open, keep your gaze steady. Inhale. Exhale. We're going to take our hands to our heart center and prepare for a warrior 3, taking our right foot back. You can experiment here, just lifting that right back, that right leg, starting to dip your chest forward. And then when you're ready, allowing a little micro bend to that left knee. You bring your right leg up as high as you can. Or not as high, you want your chest and your leg to be parallel to the floor. Hands can remain in your heart center. You can take your arms out to a T. Find a point to focus on. Please feel free to step in and out of this pose. Experiment. Glutes and hips are open. This balance poses often test our patience. And then start to release both hands onto the mat. Lift that right leg as high as you can. Soften neck and head. Standing splits. Right foot meets that left foot. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, soften neck and head. And then your choice, you can either sweep your arms up overhead or roll up slowly. Hands meet in front of your heart center, or mountain pose where hands are framing your hips. Take one intentional, generous breath. Inhaling here, exhaling, sighing out. And then we'll shift into warrior 3, opposite side. Left foot comes back, hands in front of our heart center. Please experiment with this pose. You want a little micro bend to that knee. You want to, as a general rule in yoga, you don't want to lock your knees, especially in a balance pose. You want that room for just a little bit of movement. Chest and leg parallel to the floor. Gaze is steady. Inhale. Exhale. Don't forget to breathe in your balance pose here. And then drop both hands onto the mat. So your hands are directly beneath your shoulders. Lengthen that left leg as high as you can, standing splits. And then release that left foot to meet that right foot. Your choice. Sweep your arms up overhead or roll up slowly. Notice your heels. Invite a generous breath. Inhaling, exhaling, sighing out. Release physical, mental, emotional tension. This takes practice. Release your hands. Inhale, arms lift up. Exhale, bend your knees, fold down, forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release, step back, plank folds. Release down towards the floor. Inhale up, upward facing dog. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Generous breath here in your down dog. You're going to lift your left leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Left knee towards that left elbow, hold. Lots of strength, body is activated, generous breath, breathing into your heels, to your core, and release, downward facing dog. Take that stabilizing breath. And now lift your right leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Right knee towards that right elbow, hover. And then release your leg, downward facing dog. 3 generous breaths in your down dog. And then once you take those 3 breaths, plank pose, inhale, exhale, knees onto the floor, drop your belly onto the mat. From here, both arms come up, both legs come up. 5 rounds, exhale, release. Use your breath to support you in lifting up, engage your glutes. Exhale, release. Inhale up. Exhale, release. Few more times, moving with your breath. Inhale, exhale. And then after those 5 rounds, drop your right cheek onto the mat or left. Rock your arms, soften the body. Remain focused and aware of your breath. You want to practice that ability to be both relaxed and attentive. Practice that attentiveness through the breath, inhaling and exhaling. I know we all have a lot of very busy thoughts in the back of our head. It's okay to have them in yoga. We're not trying to necessarily delete them, but we are creating some more space between our thoughts and our body, starting to notice there's a different relationship here where we're purposely cultivating an intentions with our breaths and our body. Inhale, exhale. 2 more breaths here. And then you'll start to take your hands to frame your chest, start to shift up into an upward facing dog, curl your toes, downward facing dog. Inhale, exhale, your choice. If you want to take 1 more vinyasa, meaning another plank pose, upward facing dog and down dog, go ahead and take that extra vinyasa. Otherwise, start to shift out of your downward facing dog and come to join me in a cross-legged position. Moving so with intention, even as you transition. Noticing any adjustments you can make to bring yourself more in integrity with that awareness in our bodies. Linking the spine, relaxing the shoulders, very simple ways to bring that attention. Hands are on our knees. We inhale here, exhale. Now we'll start to take our legs out to a V. And what we'll do is we'll begin with folding. We're gonna take our chest to face our right toes. And then keeping your spine long, start to drop your belly towards your thigh. And your hands can reach anywhere. They can reach thighs, shins, or toes. That more intense stretch as you're taking up back those hands to those toes. Our eventual goal is that we're going to be folding down the middle, so keep that in mind. This is stretching throughout our hamstrings, our lower back, side body. One more breath, inhale. And exhale, release. Now start to shift your chest so it's facing your left toes. Start to fold, trying to keep your spine long. Belly moves towards that thigh, hands reach thigh, shins or toes, and fold. And then release. From here, we come to center. We take our hands out. We just start to inch our hands forward and just see where that range is. You can invite a little bend to your knees. Perhaps you drop your elbows onto the floor. Perhaps you don't. Notice where you're at and breathe. Inhale. And exhale, release. Start to shift into a cross-legged position. Lengthen your spine, drop your shoulders. We're going to take our left hand to rest on our right knee and then twist towards the right. Using that grip on that knee to intensify the stretch. And then release. Opposite side. Right knee towards that knee. Twist towards the right. We're twisting really towards the left, sorry. Inhale. Exhale, release. Now we'll start to shift into a boat pose, a little core workout before we lay on the floor. Bend your knees, take your arms out, lift your legs. Imagine a cord lifting your chest, lengthen your legs as much as you can. If you want extra support, you can take your hands right behind your thighs. Inhale, exhale. And then start to lengthen your legs as gracefully as you can. Start to drop your head back. Generous breath, inhale here, exhale, side out. Bend both knees, both feet onto the floor. We're gonna lift our hips as high as we can. Optional, you can interlace your fingers and bring your shoulder blades closer together. It's gonna give you some more lift. You have room for deep belly breaths here. There's nothing constricting your belly. Place weight on your heels, engage your glutes, stretch your quads, open and lengthen throughout the abdomen. And release. Inhale, exhale, 2 more rounds. Lift your hips up towards the ceiling, your choice. You can interlace your fingers. And release, generous breath, inhale, exhale. And then one more round, lifting your hips up towards the ceiling and hold. Deep belly breath. And then you'll start to release here. Feet on the floor, knees bent. Take your hands towards your knees, let your feet float off the floor. Rock to the left, to the right. Massage that lower back. You can also make circles, taking your knees, grabbing your knees, taking them close towards you, pushing them away from you in a circle. That's also an option. And then we'll release and come into our butterfly pose. Drop your legs onto the mat, soles of the feet touch, knees are bent. And then we'll try 3 different positions with our hands and arms so you can see which one you want to settle with. Let's take 1 breath, hands on our belly or our chest, inhale, exhale. Very grounding and restful, much more aware of our breath with our hands on our belly and chest. We can drop our hands, backs of the hands on the mat, palms up towards the ceiling. Our back is flat here on the mat. And then another option is lifting your arms up overhead. By doing it so, you invite a small little lift around your lower back and mid back. There's an arch there. Separation of the shoulders, elbows are bent. This is also a very common way to approach this pose. Notice where you're holding onto some tension and release. Find which of these arm positions work for you. Arms lifted, elbows bent, or hands framing your hips, or hands resting on your belly, your chest. We're taking a moment to appreciate this moment of pause and rest, noticing that mentally and emotionally and physically, we need to slow down. Slowly sensing into our bodies. We invite generous breaths. We remind ourselves and what our full breath is like. When we're stressed, when we're busy, when we're worried, we tend to shorten our breath or invite very shallow breathing. So we want to refamiliarize our bodies, our nervous system with that deep breath. And deep breaths aren't necessarily easy or welcoming. Sometimes it can be a little uncomfortable. So just see where it's at and don't push your deep breath more than you need to. 2 or 3 more breaths in your butterfly pose. And then we'll start to shift to our last resting pose of the class, or Shavasana. You can lengthen your legs, drop your hands to frame your hips, palms up towards the ceiling. Notice that we're cultivating a practice of slowing down, releasing tensions and worries of yesterday and tomorrow, arriving to our body's wisdom right now. And then by accepting our breath, we're accepting our experience. No judgment of any thoughts that float up during Shavasana. Just observe them. Your choice if you want to practice some deep, long breathing, or allow your breath to go back to its natural rhythm. So there's benefits to either strategy. See what works for you. Soften your forehead and jaw. These are areas that subconsciously we tense up, clenching your jaws, frowning. Soften neck and shoulders. Down the length of your arms, your wrists, palms, and fingertips. Notice that importance of noticing that letting go in our palms and fingertips. We tend to move in our day holding onto things, clenching things. Our hands serve us in many, many powerful ways. Notice that sensation of letting go, softening our palms and our fingertips, not clenching, not getting. Softening your pinky, your fourth finger, middle, index, and thumb. Soften down the length of your back, releasing the upper back, mid back, lower back, to the area around the tailbone. And then your hips behind your knees, down to your ankles, heels, and toes. And we'll start to place our attention back to our breath. Inviting a generous and leisurely inhale and exhale. Restoring some movement to our fingertips and our toes. You have the option of inviting a full body stretch or turning your body to the left or right. You can also remain here laying on your back. Do invite that generous and that leisurely breath where there is no rush, no hurry. We're still cultivating that slowing down. Another breath here, inhale and exhale. And then start to make your way up to your seat. You can be cross-legged, you can sit on your ankles. Any seated position that supports you right now. Inviting that awareness, that integrity as you transition, come into your seat. Make any adjustments that indicate that extra awareness you cultivated throughout class. And then we'll take a moment to honor our breath, noticing that by honoring our breath, we're inviting acceptance of who we are from one moment to the next. So with that in mind, we'll seal the class, taking our hands in front of our heart center, generous inhale and exhale. And in the tradition of yoga, the highest in me sees the highest in you. May we walk with each other in gratitude.